Good day everybody, and welcome to Kampala Road in Uganda here. And I promise no Class 37s in sight today, but I have been working on a few of my steam locos in the repair shop, and I haven't had much success in the past, and been a bit of a problem. Diesel's okay. These things I've had problems with because I think they're probably more delicate and slightly more finicky. However, I've really sort of run out of basic materials to carry on building things on the layout, and I'm waiting for my next Red Cross parcel from the UK, if you like, to arrive to carry on with that. So I've been looking at a number of locos, and today I'd like to show you three of which are old, if you like, and one which is new and needs modifications. So this Duchess Coronation, whatever you want to call it, is I think a 2004-2005 model. It is loco drive, but no DCC plug. So it was in that era, it came out in that era when you could buy DCC plug locomotives or without. So this one was without. I can't remember actually where I bought it, how much I bought it for. I do know when I did get it, I thought it was a Ringfield motor, a loco, and in disappointment I never really opened the box, and I just put it on the shelf for a few years, and never looked at it until it got to New Guinea in 2010. And the reason why I did that was because I'd also bought Kestrel, which was an A4, which I'll show you shortly, which was a Ringfield drive and completely useless, and I paid top dollar for it in Australia. So well, I think they both arrived around about the same time, so I think that's probably why I put this aside. It was only in 2010 I found that she was loco drive and beautiful. So I've hardwired a small decoder in there, TCS decoder, 4-function. There's not much room in here at all, I can assure you, even though it's a large loco. There's not much room in there, and I was watching Simon at Liverton putting in a smoke box or smoke generator, and I noticed his was also very similar. Not much room, but yeah, there's hope for me yet. Watching Simon do that, I might try it one day. But anyway, this was a great runner. She was a beautiful loco, but when she got here, it didn't work at all. It was seized like normal. And I put a new motor in her. Oops, sorry about the camera wobble there. I put a new motor in, and she's got a very, very weird pickup arrangement, obviously under here. And I think they've done away with that arrangement where the pickups rely on a pressure connection reliant on the bottom of the chassis base to run the power into the motor, if you like. It's not very good. And the Black 5, which I've also repaired, I'll show you in more detail, because the DNA is exactly the same on two locos, just different size. But this loco I started repairing last December, and I've only just got it working about 3 or 4 weeks ago. It was a contender for being thrown out of the third floor window here. I really was frustrated with it, but it was my fault. What I realised after fixing Kestrel was what was actually wrong with it, and what I was doing, I'd clean the contacts here, I'd clean the pickups here. It's a 12-wheel pickup locomotive, and it would run, but it would be jerky and you know, kangaroo hop down the line, etc. It really was not satisfactory unless it was going full pelt, and then it was fine. I pulled it apart about 4 times, and when you start doing that with locos, you start damaging them, and I've damaged the front steps here, are missing. I broke them. Pulling off the body continuously really is not healthy for them. Not sure whether that crew member is waving at me or putting a finger up at me for messing around with his loco so much. But anyway, I just couldn't understand why I couldn't get this working. when I put it in the foam Pico cradle upside down, I could apply power to these two wheels at the back and everything would work fine. Same with these two middle wheels, same, whichever I applied power, it would work beautifully smoothly. But as soon as it was on the track, it would kangaroo hop unless you were at full speed. It was only about 2 or 3 weeks ago I suddenly realised what the problem was, and it was that awful tender coupling that they have, where it relies on these little brass connectors. So as you can see just there, I've permanently wired the tender to the Loco, and it solved all the problems. Let's get a shot in there. It really did. So she works well. She's not the smoothest. The problem I have with her now is that she shorts out on a lot of the Pico express points, and not in the usual place. She shorts out, just show you where she shorts, if I can get that in focus here. It's a grotty point. Shorts out here on this. Normally they short out here, but this coronation class is shorting out on this connection, on this, whatever you call it, on the point. And I just, it restricts where she can go. On the upline I have a lot of express points, so about 4 or 5. So she shorts out on each one, which is obviously not practical. On the downline I've only got 1, and she seems to get across that okay, but yeah, I've now got an issue of shorting on this Loco. In fact, a lot of the larger steam locos do short out. I found the Gadwell also shorts out on the larger points. I don't know, I've looked on YouTube to see what people have done, putting nail varnish on, that sort of thing. It's a bit frustrating. But anyway, she's off and away, and we'll return to her shortly. Okay, this is Kestrel. She started life in 2002 as a Ringfield powered Loco. I bought this in my local model shop in Brisbane, Hobby One, for the extortionate price of $220 back then, which is about £110 back then. Very, very disappointed. The performance was never good, and she spent most of her life with me in the box, so much so that I really didn't use her. And when I unpacked her here, the main wheels here were completely rusted up to the chassis, and the motor inside the tender was completely seized. So it was a question of whether to ditch her or try and resurrect her. So on eBay they selling fairly good value for money, depending which way you look at it, the motorised chassis, which I bought, I think about £40, excuse me, and there's only a tiny modification required to fit this motorised chassis into the body, which coincidentally is exactly the same as the Gadwall back here. This was a super detailed model when I bought it, but basically it's really today's railroad version. So it fitted fine. My intention then was to modify, take apart the tender, and modify that so that I had a 12-wheel pickup locomotive, because I believe 2 of the wheels don't pick up, the rear 2 wheels. Not quite sure about that, but I cheated. I was on eBay and I saw a tender, a super detailed tender for sale on eBay for around, I think it was about £19. I may be wrong, maybe a bit more. And unfortunately she's got red wheels, which the Loco doesn't, but I'm going to weather those so they hide them. Yeah, so this is a super detailed tender, obviously off a better model than the one I've got. You can see there's a bit of detailing and stuff, and the coal load is much better than the Gadwall's coal load, etc. So that worked perfectly. It has that horrible connection at the moment, which does work well when it's brand new, but obviously when it wears out it causes untold problems, so one day I'll have to hardwire this in. But yeah, she works very well, very happy. So I've really, for the cost of about £60, resurrected this Loco. Now for £60 you can get the Gadwall, I know that, with sound. But there's a little bit of a sentimental thing there as well, I think, with Kestrels. It was the first very expensive Loco I ever bought, and I think I just wanted to get over the disappointment of buying a ring-filled Loco, which I didn't realise I was doing, and get it going again. So I've now got 2 A4s in the LNER livery working, and they work very well. She doesn't stall, she goes extremely well. There's a little bit of jerkiness just above slow speed in reverse on this Loco, but otherwise I'm happy, she's working, and that's all you need, isn't it, really? Righty-ho, the third Loco I fixed is this super detail Black 5 vintage, I think about 2004. I got her in Model Junction, Bury St Edmunds, where my mum lives, and it was in the clearance bin for 54 quid back then. She comes with a crew, which is in there in the cab, quite well detailed for her age. She did come with a DCC plug, and is a beautiful runner, or was a beautiful runner, and good detail too. I really like her. She looks good at the front of a train. I just showed you her going past on a steam excursion, which are beginning to happen on this layout because I seem to have quite a few locos, steam locos. My mum buys me a steam loco every year for my birthday come Christmas present. I've never had the heart to tell her that I'm a diesel fan. I think if I did that, she would never buy me another Loco. So the 2 Locos in the picture there you see she bought me, amongst others. So she got this out of the parts, the clearance bin at Model Junction. So this needed a new motor, and as I was saying earlier, exactly the same mechanical setup as the Duchess locomotive, this crazy connection system underneath, and I'll show you that in a minute, where the connectors rely on a touch connection between the chassis and the pickups to pass the power. She's 12-wheel pickup, and this was quite easy to repair, I found, because I'd learnt my lesson with the Duchess. So she's hardwired in, the tender is hardwired in here, and very, very good performance in both directions, much better than the Duchess actually. Really like this Loco, yeah, very, very pleased. So a little bit degrading, but this is the underneath of the Black 5. and as you can see, this is the original wire. Hornby are very stingy with the wiring. I mean, their cost controls must be perfect because they're within a millimetre of the length required, and if you need a new wire, you've basically got to rewire the loco. But there's a red wire here. The red wire here you can see is part of the permanent connection. Now I'm not relying on this terrible connection. I mean, as I said earlier, they work when they're new. Excuse me. But once they start getting old and dirty, reliability issues fall into place. Under here, and I can't take this off because I've done it and I don't want to disturb it. This plastic base to the chassis, these 3 screws hold the copper pickups. We can just see here. Oh, sorry, you can just see here. Flush against the base of the chassis on both sides. So these contacts are relying on the pressure from this base to hold it against the chassis to conduct electricity. When you open this to release the connections, you break that link, and it never works again properly. However hard you tighten this plastic base against this. So what I've done is I put little plasticard strips here and here where the pickups connect to the chassis, and then screwed on the base. And those plasticard, I've done this on the Duchess as well, those plasticard little pads, if you like, create more pressure to hold the connections to the chassis, and that works fine. Don't want to disturb it again. And that's the way around it, really. But complexed. Also, the motor in here is held in with a combination of, there is a plastic bracket on the top, but also black glue. I can't believe it that they're gluing in motors, which is pretty sticky stuff. So it's pretty good. It does its job well, but you get in a hell of a mess. And it's an LMS loco. There you go. Just going over a very grubby set of points. Yeah, very happy with that. She's back to where she was when she was new. Excuse the cockerel. Plenty of them here. So the last of the 4 locos that I want to show today has just stalled. Now she's coming. And there's a reason why she stalls. So this is the Hornby Railroad Midland compound, and I sort of vowed never to buy another railroad. I bought the Flying Scotsman, and it's an appalling performer, which I'm doing some modifications on to try and assist it. But anyway, back to this one. I bought this because I saw it on the Hatton's catalogue. I couldn't believe the price. You've got a steam locomotive with tender pickups, etc., for under £40, and I was staggered. So I ordered it, paid for it, and about a day later Sam's Trains did a review, and it's a great website, Sam's Trains, if you want to understand or have a look at a loco before you buy it. And I was horrified by what he found. As he said, it's a great loco, especially for kids, but it has a manufacturing problem, and that is that the tender rocks on the middle wheel here. This middle wheel is set slightly lower than the other two wheels, and it relies very heavily on the tender to pick up power, because while it's picking up power on this driving wheel here, this driving wheel is not so efficient because it's got tyres on, rubber tyres, which I hadn't picked up either when I ordered it. So you've really got a glorified 040 or 060 if you're lucky and this axle is touching the track, and this axle might be pointing in the air. And I'll show you it running in a minute, and you can see where it's not correct. So the way around this, after a quick dialogue with Sam, is to put some weight in the tender. So I'm coming to the UK in a month's time, so I'm going to get some of that liquid lead and just put a little bit of weight in here, and hopefully that'll improve things. She does run well. I mean, it's a great character. The loco's got wonderful character. I really like it, and the kids love it. They're mesmerised with steam locos and the actions of the coupling rods, etc. I mean, just look at that, isn't she great? But she has a problem, and that is if you're running in reverse, and that there, you can see the final wheel there is not even turning. I'll just try that again there. She's not even turning. So if she's running in reverse and hits a set of points, she derails. Now this tender weighs about as much as a postage stamp. I don't know how they've done it, but it's incredibly light. And when she hits the points, this wheel is pointing skywards, tends to derail her immediately. I'll just put her up on the branch line. She runs extremely well on the branch line, and I think that's probably because none of my branch line is flat. So as the track undulates, all the wheels are touching. But for a normal person, you know, for a normal layout, you've either got a glorified 040 or articulated 060, rather than it should be an 080 really. But great character. Love the loco. Can't pull too much because she's fairly light. But yeah, well worth the money, I think, once it's sorted out. Okay, she's about to come over the bridge of the abyss, propelling a small goods train, and we'll have a look at that rear wheel. Hopefully the camera can pick it up. So basically an 060, but I'm hoping a little bit of weight will sort it out. But other than that, for a railroad she's okay, and she runs fairly smoothly, and I like it. It's very, very nice. I put a little crew in there. He's making a cup of tea. He doesn't care whether his pickups work or not. Alright, well, I just want to say thank you very much for people who have subscribed to me. I'm up to 32, so I'm really, really happy about that. So thank you very much. I hope this has been of interest. Here comes the tourist train. And thank you very much for watching. Take care now. Bye bye.